Okay, let's see how this goes. I thought I'd show a couple of things that I've learned about making songs on the Fairlight. So one thing you can do is everything's contained in a session. So if you want to create your own session, a lot of things happen up the top here in the command line. You type, I've already done this, but you type in SES and then a space and then your session name. You can see here I've already got a session called Razzmatazz. It also created a multi, and I'll say what a multi is in a sec. But you would type in SES and then a name and press enter. I think if you don't type in a name, it'll just give it a name like a 001 or something kind of boring. And that creates a session and a multi. And actually we can look here in the session files. There's now a folder called Razzmatazz, there it is. And there's the .mu file, the .rs file, which is my sequencing, and the .se file, which is my session. But this is already open, so I don't need to do anything. Okay, so let's talk about how to load the instrument. I've got my session with a multi, and that's it so far. The MUC page lists all your instruments, and you can see I can have 24, but right now there's nothing here, and there's a few different ways you can load things. You could load a blank instrument, like create a blank instrument and add it to here, but if you've got no instruments to start with, it's not really necessary. But I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Okay, so if you go to your directory and you can have a look at the different files here. I'll just go back up. So it's in these sound libraries. And there's a few different sound libraries. I'll go animals actually. Oh, there's no cat. I'll go cow. And this cow.in is an instrument file. Later on, if you want to load actually different samples in, your samples are in here, and you can tell they're samples and not instruments because they're .wav files. So yeah, let's get this cow instrument. And if I open that and then play it, and you see here it says instrument 1 cow, sample 1 cow. So let's go back home and to our MUC, and you can see now that I have one instrument in my multi-configuration, which I guess is what MUC stands for. Go back home, and if I go to the SIC file page, you can see that I've got this one sample and it goes the whole way across my keyboard. You can change stuff here, like you can change the goodness. I think the goodness is a thing that relates particularly to the Fairlight quality of the sample. In the manual, there's something about the different ones, but I think like 12 is, I think it goes up to 30 or something, but you could type whatever number you want in here. All of these values here, you can just change by typing in them and pressing enter, and then it saves them. Oops. Now what I've done here is I've just clicked in the sample. If you click and drag it, you can go all over, you don't have to stay in the line, and it will put the sample across those keys. So if you accidentally click somewhere else and do that, I do that all the time. So just get them all the way across again. What I could do is, if I wanted to, I could actually create an instrument with multiple samples across it. So I've got this. So I go back home and go to my MUC page. Another way you can create an instrument, and you would do this if you were going to record your own samples, or perhaps you want to have many samples across the keyboard of your own choosing. You go up here and you type in, this is going to test my knowledge, and I'll just quickly look it up. Yeah, so you go IC, And you can give it a name or you can not give it a name. If you don't give it a name, it will start off by calling it 001 or something like that. I don't actually know for sure. I'm just going to say all animals because I'm going to make a mega animal keyboard. And what I have here now is an instrument called all animals. Notice that when I click on them, that's the instrument that's selected. And so if I select all animals and then I go home and to directory and open one of these instruments, instrument 2, which is currently all animals, is actually going to get overwritten by one of these instruments. If I go now back to the SIC page, the sample configuration page, you can see that it has this all animals here, but if I play, there's no sound. So I need to load some samples into here. I can't move up and down with my samples because there's no samples in here. So the first thing I will do is I will load my first sample. You can have 12 different samples. So I'll go back to home and to my directory, and this time I'm going to go into the samples folder. And I'll get Dove, let's say, and I'll double click on Dove. And if you see here, now it says sample 1 is Dove. And I'm just going to go back to home and to my SIC file and just check. And so there you go. There's my Dove. And again, I might turn up the goodness to 12. You know, I could change the resonance, the octave. And actually, I'm going to go down one with the octave. I have to remember to press return or it won't save things. Yeah, this vibrato depth. I'm actually going to get rid of the vibrato depth because I don't like that either. I don't know if that's saved. It just seems to be how it goes. Take the octave down more. Okay, so if I want to load a second sample, I need to actually create, I think I need to create a blank sample, but I'm just going to check by going back to home, back to my directory. So if I choose a different sample now, so I double clicking on it, yeah, you can see that it actually just overwrote the sample that was there. So sample 1 is elephant. And now my whole keyboard has elephant across it. So I'll just double click Dove and put Dove back. So I want to create a new sample, and I can do that from any page. So I could go back to the SIC page and do it, but it actually doesn't matter because I'm going to create it in the sorry, I just had to remember how to do this. So I had to, yeah, I can do it here in the command line. So it doesn't really matter what page I'm in. The command line commands work from anywhere. So what I can do is I can type in SC, and that's going to create a new unnamed sample. So I'm just going to do that. And you can see now that I've got 2 samples in my all animals instrument. Now that I've created a new unnamed sample, if I double click on any of these, it now puts rooster into sample 2. And I'm just going to do this a few times. So it's SC and goose. I am recording. So sample 3 is goose, and I'll go SC, and yeah, maybe I'll put a sheep in there. Oops, I just overwrote sample 3. So you've got to sort of watch what you're doing because I didn't press return here. So sample 3 is sheep. I'll press SC, and I've got a blank sample 4. Put a mongrel in there, and I'll go SC again and press return. And I think it was goose I had before and lost. So 5 is goose. So let's now go back to our home. Just to show you, Muck still only has 2 instruments because an instrument contains many samples. And in this page, you can see here I've got 5 samples. Right now they go all across the keyboard, so I think they're all going to play at once. Yep, that's pretty awful. I think I've got access to change the volume here too. So just to note, on this page you've got the instrument button, which changes these settings up the top to be about the instrument as a whole. So if I want the whole instrument to go down in an octave, which I do, I'm going to go -3, just because I like it sounding a bit, oh God, that's awful. Okay, so I don't want all these samples at once. I can edit this keyboard section if I'm on the instrument or the samples. That's just changing what's up the top here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these guys, just click and drag there, and then click and drag here, and so on up the keyboard. There we go. And now I should be able to go up and down my sample. And again, this little window here lets me know where I am. So when I click up sample, I'm 4, 3, 2, 1. So whatever I do in this area here will relate to this sample that it's telling me there. Shouldn't have really touched the screen then. Okay. So yeah, my goose sample, I'll go down to sample 5. It looks like it's not selected because it's kind of darker, but you can use it. For a while I thought it wasn't usable because it was darker, but it just is. So I'm actually going to make this one maybe -5. Remember that that's also being multiplied by the instrument one of -3. If I go back to sample, I have to remember to click return in here or it won't work. Maybe I'll go up to mongrel. I can also, I think I can, yeah, just click on them to go between. I don't need to use these. Also, see the number here? If you want, you can use the F key relating to that. So I could press F7 and F8 to move up and down the samples as well. But I don't know, in this setup, it's probably easier to just click on the screen. Alrighty, so yeah, I'm gonna change 4 mongrel to maybe a bit lower as well. So now if I play across my keyboard, we've got, well, a very, very deep dove, and I'm going to put dove back to 0. Because I changed my whole instrument to -3, it was -3 and then -2, so we were getting a lot. And it's still pretty deep because it's the bottom octaves, so I might go 2. How's that sounding? I don't know if that's taking. And it's not taking because I'm on sample 4. So sample 4 I'm going to put back down to -2 and press return. I'm going to click on dove and make sure up the top that it says dove. And this is where I make most of my mistakes, is that I'll do something on the wrong instrument or on the wrong multi, just because I'm not checking here. I'm used to working a bit quicker on a different type of computer, but here you want to just always be checking what you're about to do the thing on. So now I'm on dove. It's really low, so I am going to say maybe say 4, maybe 3, not 34. And return. Okay, and then let's go to rooster. Kind of like that weird rooster. I'm going to put goodness of 10 on here. Okay, and then what's this one? Sheep. I'm going to give sheep maybe an octave up. So you can see I could also fine tune it. I can add a filter, which I've never played with that. Could change the attack, the decay, sustain release, vibrato, which I might try and take off. Let's see if that works. And then what's this? It's my mongrel, which is really deep. And let's just click click on that, and I've got it set to -2. That's deeper than I expected. Maybe it's starting lower. Anyway. And then up the top, I've got my goose. So maybe actually I don't want my goose. Oh yeah, it's at -5. Let's just go -1. Let's go oops, -2. Okay, so this is my instrument now. If I want to save this instrument, I think I type in ICS. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let's see, it'll just give me an error if that's not true. So, oops, and I type that in the command line, ICS. So that's instrument save. No, it's unknown command. Ignore that, we'll look at how to save the instrument later. I think it's not actually necessary unless I want to use that instrument in a different session, because when I save the session, it saves the instrument. So what I can do now actually is if I type in SES, it's just saving my session. And I've found it's actually pretty good to do that as you go, because I have had issues where it didn't seem to save properly, but when I continuously save, it's with the typing SES, it works. Okay, so now I've got a keyboard. Let's go home and just check out. So maybe I want another instrument. No, I'll do that later. Let's look at how to make a song. Just briefly, you've got mix here, which you can mix. Again, you can change the volume of the overall instrument. You can also change the volume of each sample in here just by clicking in mix level and typing a number like -1 and pressing return. Same with pan, but I'm actually not sure what numbers pan goes between. And my overall volume here, I guess, is volume -10. Don't know what mix trim is. Sometimes this Alt button has other options, but mainly in the RYS section. I don't know what that stands for, but that's where your song is. Rhythm sequencer, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so this is my rhythm sequencer, and when I go here, like nothing's loaded. So if I was like, you know, I can actually just click record and play and record some stuff. And maybe I'll show you that. Record. Once I've got record, I can actually flip around in here. And not yet. So if it lets me go record and play. Okay. And now I go back and I want to listen, and nothing's happened. So nothing's happened because you actually have to load the instruments you want to record before you record them. And I'll just turn off record for a moment. One thing that was annoying me for ages was that I wanted to turn off the click track. You can click on Alt and you can just turn it off there, which is pretty nice. Okay, so click Alt to get it back to the other menu. So to load an instrument, I've got two instruments, instrument number 1 and instrument number 2. The easiest way I've found to load instruments is just to type their number in here. So if I just type number 2, you can see all animals has loaded. And now when there's a few ways you can put notes in. So you can just hit record and play and okay, and then I can go stop. I don't see anything right now. I'll just turn record off again because I've got to scroll back. So I don't know if there's a way to zoom in or out here. You can loop and you can set where you want it to start and end loop from. But if we listen, so there's nothing. these arrows here are where the notes are. So we can go back. Yeah, okay. I mean, maybe that's not the nicest example. So what I can do actually is I can just change the instrument over here. I can type 1 and it'll keep the recording, but now it's cow. And I might actually make a new instrument and put some other like more melodic sound in. So I see, because I can do this from anywhere, it creates a new instrument, and you can see up here that, and this is maybe a little bit confusing, so it's instrument 3 here and sample 1, but actually what I'm recording is still instrument 1. So that would be my cow. And I might have to go back to the start. I mean, that's pretty sick cow. Okay, so I did just create instrument 3, so I might go and load something into that. So because it says instrument 3 up here, when I go to the directory, and I'm just gonna go up and just load some kind of sound. Some strings. I like this low string sound, and I'll just click open. Some instruments here have a whole heap of sounds in them already, and I can go home and SIC to see that. This one just has 1. So now, okay, let's go back to the sampler, or the sequencer. Okay, wait, and I'll change this to instrument 3. Yeah, so an easy way for me to get back to the start is I can just type 1 in here and hit enter, and it goes back to, well, right now it's going to position 1, 1, 7, 4, 3, which is over here, but I can just click. So yeah, recording, pressing play and playing is one way to get notes in here. Another way to get notes, so there's a few different things you can do. So I think, so you can press record, and you can move this cursor around, and I can, okay, that's not one way you can do it. You can move this cursor around, you can play a note. It actually doesn't matter, like I can play the note with the cursor here, and then I can put my cursor somewhere and then press INS. Okay, maybe I need to have record on and press INS. Oh yeah, there we go. And it appears. Notice if I do like, oh yeah, okay, so that didn't work the second time because I wasn't, so the track wasn't selected. Okay, so let's rewind a little bit. I'm just gonna get up to some blank space. So yeah, there are 2 other ways. I wasn't doing all the right steps. So you can see it's a little bit finicky. So track needs to be selected, so it's light green. Then I can move my cursor, I can play a note, and I can click insert, and it puts that note there, and it knows the like velocity and the length and the pitch. I think it has a few other things. I can also hit record, move my cursor, and if the record's on, it will kind of record the note as well, even if you don't play. So you can hit play and play along, or you can just move your cursor with record on, and it's going to remember the last one. So if I do lost, I think, actually I've never tried this, I think it just remembers the last one, but let's listen back to what that note sounded like. Yeah, so it is just the last note that was recorded. You can change the tempo just by typing a different tempo. You can also change the quantization. So by default, it will quantize, and you don't have to put, like you could put 17 in, I don't know, like 19 in here or anything. Just remember, maybe you can't, that's interesting. Maybe it does have to be, because I had 24 in here before, and that was fine, even though it was sort of off. So I guess it does need to be, 24 is not dividable by 4, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But it didn't like 19, or yeah, it didn't like 19. Oh yeah, notice here, actually when I put 24 in, it tells me it's doing three notes. Interesting. I was just sticking to like multiples of 4. Oh yeah, look, when you type that. So I guess it needs to be somewhat music related. I don't know about music scales and notes. So for those of you who do, maybe that's interesting. You know, if I change the tempo, like 80 and press return. So if I play now, because there's nothing ahead, nothing's gonna happen. Okay, it jumped back to 1, I'm not sure why. Okay, so this is not sounding great. So if I want to delete notes, I can select the note and hit delete key on the keyboard. I don't know if there's a way to do it here. That's how I've been doing it, so just delete. It's a bit laborious. I think there are ways, in the manual it does mention ways to delete more at once, but I don't trust myself to make mistakes. Why am I not? Okay, so sometimes I've somehow gotten back to the home menu, so I'll just have to click RYS, and then I can use cursor to move back. And because I've got it on 32, it's taking forever, so I'm just going to go 16 again. I can also just go here to 1. And I might just delete these one by one, and that's looking pretty good. So I think I have nothing here now. It's looking like it, although my position is still on 1. I don't know what's going on here. It's not going past 1 for now. I could maybe go here too. So you can see I've got 7 bars at the moment. Let's go to 4. And there's nothing on 4 anymore, maybe 3. There we go. I'll just delete these. So it's delete, not backspace. Yeah, that's bizarre. I'm not sure why it's looping when I try to go back further. It wasn't doing that earlier, so that's some quirk that's happening. Anyway, delete, delete, delete. 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 Okay, so it has 7. Each of these bars is actually called a pattern as well. So you can see that I'm in pattern 2 right now. It says it here. It also is indicated here. So if I go back to pattern 1, you can see that I'm on pattern 1. Now it says pattern 1. A little bit more about patterns in a moment, but so let's record something. I found a nice way, and this is because of the limitation of the patterns. Like, I quite like just playing some things and letting it sort the loops later. So I'll just hit record. back. It didn't really record anything at the start, so I might just... Let's turn this volume down a little bit now with the strings. Okay. So yeah, what do we got? Nothing there. Okay. Maybe I'll go back a bit. Okay. Yeah, cursor. Okay, so what was happening before was cursor was looping, but you've got this forward and backward button, and that goes through all of your bars there. So I might just put a note in here. There we go. So another way you can look at the notes as well is you can click on event, and this shows you like a numerical version of what's going on. So the pitch, the velocity, the length. Release, I think, might be something to do with if you have a sustain pedal or something. I tried changing it and nothing happened. So that's one way to look at it, which is useful if you're like, what note is that? Another thing you can do is you can copy and paste things. So let me... So as far as I'm aware, you can only copy and paste like one note at a time. So wherever your cursor is, if you hit Control and C on the keyboard, it copies it. And then you can move somewhere else, and Control V pastes it. You can also cut with Control X, so just like any kind of most programs. Okay, so if I did want to loop, like let's say I just want to loop my first thing. So you can hit loop, but actually it's going to loop from this start to this end. I think that if I put my cursor here at the start and hit start, it records where my cursor is, and then I can do the same, although I can't get it right at the end, and I can go there. Nope, that does not work. Maybe because loop's already on. Nope. Okay, well, I'm just going to type in 1. I don't know, I'm sure. Oh, it's okay, it's showing me the whole end. 1. Actually, 1, enter. No. Okay, is it gonna... And I actually think I need it to be 1 instead of 001198, maybe? Interesting. So this is some, I don't actually normally use... Seems to be playing... I don't think it's playing this 4th note. 950, so it goes all the way up to 950. There might be some musical logic to this. Press return. No, because, yeah, who knows? Okay, so yeah, you can loop that way, but yeah, it's a bit fiddly. Maybe someone else can work out a better way to do that. So I don't normally use loop. I just play around with it. So let's add another instrument. So again, I might actually make some nice sounds. So IC to make a new instrument, and you can see I've got instrument 4 here. Go to home and my directory, and I'm going to go up and choose some kind of I'm going to go up again. I've got some gongs. And now you can see instrument 4 is my gong. Out of curiosity, I just want to check, yeah, it's just one sample in that instrument. I go to a rhythm sequencer, and so in this list here, I can keep adding instruments. So I can type in 4 now, and then there's my gong. Maybe I want to add some cows at some point. Oh no, cow was 1. These are independent of the actual notes that are recorded, so you could then change what instrument is played by the notes you record. So whatever is selected, that's what you're going to record into, and you just select by clicking. You can also mute or solo things, mute and solo here. I guess that's going to do them all, yeah. I'm just going to record something with the keyboard. Okay, there you go. Beautiful. And maybe I'll put a cow in there somewhere along the way too. I mean, this is sounding kind of awful. Doesn't matter. Okay, there we go. Beautiful. So yeah, now I've got like this fantastic song. And what if I want to sort of move these patterns around? And so we're looking at the rhythm sequencer, the pattern editor right now, but there's also a way to look at the song editor. I think there's a lot more advanced things you can do with it than I know, but this is what I know for now. So if you click on Alt, so there's 2 things you can do. You can look at used, and that shows you what patterns you've used. So you can see I've recorded 6 patterns. You can record, I think you can, yeah, there you go. You can record 999 or 993. Oh no, I've got 993 patterns free to record still. So a pattern is, I assume it's 4 note, like 4 beats, but maybe if you put in 24 as your quantizing, maybe it's 3, I'm not too sure. So I've got my 4 patterns there. I don't really know the function of this page apart from showing you what's going on, what you've used. So I'll click Alt again, and the other thing I can do is I can view my song. So here's my 6 patterns. And just say I'm like, oh yeah, pattern 2's awesome. I want to just loop this one for a while. And so you can start to move these around. So actually I could change the order. I could say I want 4 here, and then I want, so you just type it in, 3 there. Maybe I'll start with 6, and then I'll put 1 here, and I will, yeah, put 2 at the end. So that's one way of rearranging it. You can also repeat it multiple times. So I'm like, I think my first pattern was awesome, so I'm going to repeat it 8 times. And I can play from in here. It's going to play right now from pattern 4 because that's where this indicator is. So I'm just going to go back. I think I have to press return on that, I'm not sure. So there's 2 things. There's your playhead, and there's also what is selected, which is going to matter in a moment. But for now, let's have a listen. Cool, so there you go. I might just save this again. Oops, so I'll go SES return, and it's just saved. So now, if I want to get rid of a pattern, so say I didn't like pattern 1, I don't want it there, it actually deletes it and moves everything across. So again, select and hit delete on the keyboard and it's gone. I can always add it back in here, so I can click on this plus sign and type in 6 and there it is again. Or I can select it and delete, not backspace. So I can add new patterns at the end just by clicking this, I think, and writing in it. I can also highlight one and click the insert button down here, and that will insert it to the left of the selected pattern. So there's a pattern. And right now it's blank, so if I play, let's go back, we'll go to just 3 so we can hear this. So there's not much in pattern 5. So one thing to notice is like in pattern 3, I've got a gong right at the end that extends, like it starts in pattern 3 and it plays, it's long and it goes beyond the end of pattern 3. And when that happens, when you shift the patterns around, it actually goes over the next pattern. So it kind of keeps the note start, which is kind of interesting. So also if you've got, like in my pattern 4 over here, when they're in order, the end of this gong goes into pattern 4, but in this version of pattern 4 it doesn't because it starts in pattern 3, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'll just play that again just so you can hear that even though there's nothing in this pattern here, there's not even a pattern, and I think it might give me an error now if I try to save, because nope, it's fine with no pattern. Yeah, you'll hear this gong go over. Well, not the gong, the strings it was. So we can click Alt and go pattern to go back to the pattern editor. And you can see I'm on pattern 5 now, and it keeps the order. So now as I go through, you can see I'm pattern 1, pattern 4, pattern 3, pattern nothing, and I think now it might not be happy if I try to insert a note. Yeah, if I try to insert a note now, it says like there's no pattern, you can't do that. So I would have to go back to my pattern editor. So it needs there to be an actual number for the pattern to insert, like put notes into it. So I'll go to my song and I'll go here and I'll just type in, maybe I can type in 10. So I know that I've made, if I just go back, I'll just check my used. So I've got 6 patterns. I'm wondering if I type in 7, what will happen here? Yeah, it's fine with that. So 7 will be a blank pattern because I haven't made anything in it before. One other thing, so see how my first one, I'm looping it 8 times. When we go back to the pattern editor, you can see I am clicking this, so I am actually moving backwards in time. You can see I'm in position 6 right now, pattern 1, position 5, 4, and the pattern is still 1. So it actually represents it in here. That said though, it's all the same pattern. So if you change, so if I add a note in this position, so I'm here right at the start, and if I add, let's add a small note. So I just click on the keyboard, hit insert. You're going to see that it's in every iteration of this pattern now. So yeah, if I listen to it, so yeah. So just say that's not what I wanted. I want it like to happen, that high pitch note just to happen in the third one. I'm going to delete it for now. on the keyboard. So what you need to do that is you need to flatten it. And what flattening does is it saves each iteration as its own pattern. Okay, so to flatten, you just click this flat button. I also have a feeling that Quantize will quantize it to whatever you set here. I don't know, let's try it. If I go 34, okay. Yeah, it doesn't like 34. Let's go 24. So you can see now I've got this 3 here. If I go Quantize, yeah, go on. Man, nothing seemed to change. I don't know. I imagine that would do something. Not sure what TC is off is either. But yeah, anyway, sidetracked. If I click flat, it's going to go, are you sure? And I'll say yes. And it's flattened it. So now if I look at my song, you can see that I've got a lot more patterns because it saved this first pattern 8 times. So these currently all sound the same, but they're now their own unique patterns. So now I could go back to my pattern view and see I'm in position 2, I'm in pattern 2. Oh, it also renames the patterns in order. So you can see they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so on now. I can click and kind of scroll across. That's how I've been doing that to get further on. Anyway, so let's go back to my pattern view. And just to give you an example, so I'm in position 2, pattern 2. And I'll just insert one there, and that was quite long. Move forward, and let's do a quick up here. And maybe I'll do this way by pressing record and go to the next pattern and so you'll hear that, yeah, that can be a nice way to sort of make a backing thing, flatten it, like repeat it, then flatten it so you get it a lot of times, and then you could do a lead over the top or something. So turn off record. Not working, and it's not working because like I've got my loop on, so let's try that again. And I'll just get back to the start. Okay. So you could start, you can add little variations there. Again, to add new notes, they have to exist in your MUC area, your multi-input configuration, something like that, multi-instrument. You can make a new instrument by clicking IS? No. Jeez. Yeah, IS, I think. Oh, I don't know if that did that. Let's check. No. Okay, so like it does tell you in here what to do. It's getting late. I see. New instrument, I see. IS creates a new sample. Oh, I see. There you go, instrument 5. And because I had I wasn't watching that. I don't know if I had an instrument there and I just overwrote it. But I could also go instrument 6. And now whichever one of these is selected when I go to directory, that's where the instrument will go. Let's go timpani. Let's go home, back here, and I'll go to my instrument 5, and I will go to directory and up. And some bells. I like bells. Eat bowl. Let's open that one. There we go. So now I have 6 instruments, and I can go to my rhythm thing, or what's it called again? Yeah, it's rhythm sequencer, and I can just add. So I might add 5, and I'll add 6, and I'll also add my mega animals. Yeah, so now I've got all of these, and I can multi-track that way. Again, you save by going SES. To make a new session, you type in SES and a space and then the new session name, and that will close this session and open your new session. I think that's probably